Why is it that some women seem to grow more magnetic with age, while others, as if, vanish from men's eyes? This isn't random chance or unfairness. It reflects an inner state, something one school of thought describes as the manifestation of the self, a mature, integrated personality no longer dependent on external approval. True feminine attractiveness isn't built on makeup, youth, or flawless features. Its source runs deeper in how you feel inside, how you carry yourself in the world, what energy you fill a space with. A woman becomes irresistible not when she strives to please, but when she returns to her authentic nature, to her inner awareness, to her values. This is what makes her magnetic, even if she is well past typical modeling age. The unconscious, as one theory suggests, always strives for wholeness. This means your strength lies in becoming yourself, without masks, without pretense, without the fear of being insufficient. In this text, I will show you 7 deep habits that will help awaken the power within you that makes a woman unforgettable. Don't miss the 6th and 7th habits. They're the key to your inner transformation. Are you ready to stop being the one who tries to earn attention and become the one people want to be near? Then let's begin. Habit 1. Confidence, your invisible crown. Confidence isn't a loud voice, a forced laugh, or an attempt to be noticed. It is a silence filled with dignity. It is a presence felt before a woman even says a word. This is how one approach described the manifestation of inner maturity, not as a mask, but as the result of integrating all sides of one's personality, light and shadow, strength and vulnerability. A woman in whom this wholeness is awakened doesn't beg for love. She radiates it. She doesn't need compliments because she has already accepted herself. She isn't afraid of loneliness because she has become her own primary support. Her strength isn't aggressive. It is calm, like the depth of a lake. When such a woman enters a room, the space changes. Not because of her dress, makeup, or expensive jewelry, but because she knows who she is. One idea posits that what we don't acknowledge within ourselves, we project onto others. A woman who has journeyed through self-discovery no longer needs projections. She has accepted her weaknesses, her desires, her wounds. This is what makes her free and, as a result, incredibly attractive. Think about who you want to listen to. The one who shouts about her worth? Or the one whose quiet presence is already felt as strength? This is why confidence isn't a loud orchestra but an inner tuning, sounding like a warm, steady chord. Picture a scene. 2 women walk into the same cafe. One is young, striking, but constantly checking her phone, adjusting her hair, as if seeking validation. Am I okay? The other is calm, with an open face, chin slightly lifted, unhurried walk, and eyes free of restlessness. Which of them attracts more glances? The one whose energy is whole. One perspective emphasized the importance of a conscious relationship with the body as the carrier of the soul. Therefore, posture isn't just a pose. It's a form of dialogue with the world. Straightened shoulders, a level back, a soft but confident gaze. These aren't just visual signals. They are an expression of your inner stance. I am worthy of being here. This is why confidence is an armor, not cold indifference. It is a warm inner stability that says, I don't need approval to value myself. It is the habit of respecting your feelings, not suppressing them, and at the same time, not being ruled by them. To develop this state, start with small steps. Every morning, standing by the mirror, look into your eyes not with criticism, but with acceptance, as you would look at a beloved friend. Don't slouch, even when tired, not because it's visually appealing, but because your body deserves a proud stance. Don't rush to speak. Savor the pause. Let each word be a conscious choice, not an automatic reaction. One theory suggests that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Confidence begins when you stop reacting automatically and start living from conscious choice. How to speak, how to walk, how to look, how to be silent. Let every step speak of dignity. Let your worth resonate even in silence. Because confidence isn't what is seen, it is what is felt. Now, let's move to the 2nd habit. It will unlock the power in not clinging, but in allowing yourself to be desired. And this changes the entire game. Habit 2. Don't cling and become desired. One of the most destructive illusions fear of loneliness draws us into is the idea that attention must be held at any cost. Reply instantly. Be always available. Don't miss a moment. But in reality, this behavior is often what pushes people away. One school of thought wrote that what we hold on to too tightly slips away. What we release with trust comes back on its own. And in this simple thought lies a profound feminine truth. Attractiveness isn't about proving your worth. It's about knowing it silently. A woman who doesn't chase attention seems to carry a mystery that people want to unravel. Her behavior doesn't scream, "Notice me." It calmly asserts, "I am here. And I don't need to run after someone who isn't coming to me." Why does this work? Because a woman's energy is a currency that men feel intuitively. If it's available without boundaries, without pause, without breath, it loses value. It's like a beautiful landscape you get used to if you see it every day from your window. But if that landscape disappears, it begins to be missed. Think about how often you rushed to reply to messages, not because you wanted to, but because you felt you had to. How often you planned your day around waiting for a call. How often you lost yourself, dissolving in thoughts of another person. This doesn't attract, it exhausts. Both the other person, and most importantly, you. A woman who doesn't cling isn't cold, she simply doesn't merge with anxiety. Her presence is like a quiet scent, like music in another room, not intrusive, but attractive. This isn't manipulation, it's a state of being. She respects her time, her emotions, her life. And a man feels that to be near her, one must be worthy. One approach emphasized that love cannot be achieved by force of will. It is born of freedom. This is why an attractive woman isn't one who knocks on closed doors, but one who is open to whoever knocks themselves. She isn't closed off, but she has boundaries. To master this habit, don't check your phone every 10 minutes. Trust life. Don't build your schedule around someone else's convenience. Let them fit into your reality. Don't be afraid to be a little mysterious. That is your power. Focus on yourself. Sign up for yoga, dancing. Start writing essays. Read what inspires you. Surround yourself with your own life. A woman immersed in process, in creativity, in growth, radiates a magnetism that doesn't create anxiety but evokes admiration. And if someone texts, reply when you feel a genuine desire, not out of fear of losing something. Self-respect is always more important than the fear of losing someone's attention. Because attractive is not the one who is always available, but the one who has her own axis, her own center, her own life. This isn't coldness. It's maturity. It's feminine wisdom, reached when you are tired of being convenient. Not clinging doesn't mean pushing away. It means being chosen anew not because you are available, but because you are valuable. Now imagine that your image can speak for you before you even utter a word. Your posture, your style, your scent. The next habit is the art of being noticed without words. Habit 3, style that speaks without words. A real woman isn't a fashion trend. She isn't about conforming to standards. It's energy encoded in details. One perspective suggested that a symbol is the best possible formulation of something that cannot yet be fully understood consciously. Style is precisely a symbol. It reflects the unconscious. It speaks for you. It tells a story you haven't had time to voice yet. When a woman chooses clothes, she might just be blouse hangers. But when a mature woman chooses clothes, she isn't looking for fabric. She's looking for expression. Her sign. Her archetype. Her rhythm. Style isn't imitating influencers. It's not sacrificing yourself to seasonal trends. It's an inner voice finding outer form. This is why even in the simplest clothes, a woman can look like a queen if she is in harmony with herself. Think about why some women in jeans and a white shirt look captivating, while others in an expensive dress and full makeup get lost in the crowd. Because the first is living her image, and the second is wearing a mask. And that difference is felt. Your style is about your archetype. One theory referred to archetypes as ancient images that live in every woman: the great mother, the muse, the warrior, the healer. In some, one speaks, in others, several at once. But when you find clothes that correspond to your inner symbol, you no longer need excess. A woman who carries herself with dignity doesn't need brightness to be noticed. Sometimes, one scarf, one scent, one detail, and everything around quiets down. Because the energy is collected. Because she is whole. If you want your style to become your ally, not someone else's voice, start with questions. What do I feel alive in? What colors enhance my mood? What shapes reflect my character? Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't just try on a dress, try on a state of being. Allow yourself to be romantic, daring, sophisticated at different times. Because feminine strength is in changeability, not in a template. And also, don't forget about scent. Scent is the most ancient language of the unconscious. One right scent can remain in someone's memory forever. It's like a trace, a touch that doesn't require the body. And remember, style isn't for impressing. It's for expressing. And if you feel calm, confident, and beautiful in this image, then it is your path to manifestation. It is yourself in material form. One perspective asserted that personality manifests not in noise, but in symbols, gestures, movements. Let your style speak for you. It's not a mask, it's a message. Now to the next habit. It is not visible from the outside, but everyone feels it. It is that soft energy that cannot be copied and cannot be forgotten. Habit 4. Feminine energy, the soft power that changes everything. In the modern world, women are often taught to be fast, assertive, rational. But the further she moves away from her natural energy, the more she loses that very attractiveness that needs no words. One school of thought wrote that within every person there is the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine principles. And only when a woman gives up the role of a man in a skirt and returns to her authentic anima does she truly become herself. And thus, irresistible. Feminine energy is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is the ability to influence not through pressure, but through presence. It is an inner knowing. I don't need to fight to get. Everything that is mine will come on its own. Not because I am inactive, but because I am in the flow. I am centered within myself. A woman with an awakened anima doesn't try to control everything around her. She doesn't carry the conversation, doesn't plan for two, doesn't prove a point. She doesn't talk over, she listens. She doesn't argue to win, she is silent to preserve. This is where her strength lies. This is not a game, not a strategy. It is a deep knowledge that softness can even bend metal. Men feel such a woman instinctively. Her speech is slow and warm. Her movements are fluid. Her gaze doesn't evaluate but accepts. She is like warm air after a thunderstorm, refreshing, calm, desired. Being near her makes you want to slow down, become better, become grounded. One perspective asserted that one reason men fear femininity is its depth and mysterious power. A woman connected with herself awakens in a man his shadow and his light simultaneously. Therefore, it is impossible to be indifferent to her. She touches the strings of the soul. To awaken this energy, stop trying to control everything. Learn to trust. Stop filling every silence. Allow silence to speak for you. Stop fighting for love. Become the one next to whom love arises spontaneously. Start practicing relaxation. Walks alone. Dancing without rules. A warm bath with lavender oil. Reading books by candlelight. All this is not trivial. It is a return home to oneself. And if a man is beside you, don't take on all the initiative. Ask, what do you propose? And then be silent. This is not weakness. It is an invitation. It is a sign. I am not chasing. I am allowing you to step forward. Feminine energy is like a river. It can be calm. It can be turbulent, but it never breaks. It flows around obstacles and changes things. Not by force, but by flow. One theory stated that the path to wholeness is the path of returning to oneself. Feminine energy is precisely that return. To softness, to the body's rhythm, to intuition, to natural beauty. It is a power that doesn't need explanation. It is simply felt. Now, imagine you are not just a woman who radiates softness. You are a woman whose speech and silence leave a lasting impression. The fifth habit is the art of conversation that people want to listen to again and again. Habit 5. The art of conversation that stays in the heart. There are women with whom you want to talk endlessly. Not because they talk a lot, but because they talk differently. Their voice isn't just a sound. It's a vibration that resonates with something very deep inside. Their words aren't noise. They are meaning. And even their silence is eloquent. One school of thought wrote that how you speak is more important than what you say. This is why a woman's verbal magic isn't a set of phrases, brilliant jokes, or intellectual dominance. It's rhythm, pause, inner fullness. Conversation with such a woman is like jazz. It's not every note that matters, but the space between them. She knows how to be silent at the right time, to smile without explaining, to answer with a look, or to leave a phrase unfinished so that intrigue remains. Talking with her, a man doesn't feel judged or analyzed. He feels heard, and that is rare. That is what awakens the urge to return to her again. Such a woman speaks slowly. She is not rushed. She doesn't fill silence with nervous chatter. Each of her words is as if measured from within, not to impress, but to create space for connection. One perspective stated that true encounters happen where one unconscious touches another. This is why in conversation, it's not only what you say that matters, but how you allow the other person to reveal themselves. A woman who masters this art knows how to listen without interrupting. She looks into your eyes, but not intrusively. She leaves a part of herself in silence. She doesn't reveal all her cards at once. If asked, "What are you passionate about?" she doesn't give a list. She smiles and says, "That's a long story. I'll tell you sometime." And this sparks interest more effectively than the longest tale. If a conversation starts to fade, she doesn't cling. She might simply say, "I enjoyed talking. Thank you," and leaving behind a scent, not residue. She knows how to ask questions, but not superficial ones, deep ones. What do you value most in silence? When did you last feel truly alive? What place changed you? Such questions open doors. Because they are not about control, they are about depth. And a man, answering them, feels that he becomes authentic beside her. And this evokes trust in him. A woman's voice is her instrument. It's not just an organ. It's a conductor of energy. Therefore, don't raise your voice to be heard. Don't justify yourself to be understood. Don't rush, so you aren't forgotten. When a woman speaks from her depth, her words remain in the listener's body, like an echo that people want to hear again and again. And then even the simplest, "I'm glad to see you," sounds not like politeness, but like a touch. Now, imagine you don't just know how to speak. You know how to be without words. Your energy is quiet, yet strong. The next habit is independence. And it, like all great things, inspires admiration with its freedom. Habit 6. Independence, a light you can't look away from. True feminine attractiveness unfolds when a woman stops being someone's half and becomes a whole world. A world where there is sun and shadow, silence and movement, inspiration and peace. One perspective said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And it is this consciousness that gives birth to independence, not external, declarative, but internal, lived, hard-won. A woman who has walked her path no longer needs approval. She doesn't need someone to feel complete. She doesn't pretend to be independent. She breathes it. And this freedom becomes magnetic. A man near her doesn't feel pressure. He feels inspiration. He sees not a needy girl, but a woman standing tall, who has goals, passion, a mission. She doesn't dissolve in relationships. She doesn't forget herself for someone else's comfort. She doesn't abandon her dreams for approval. This is where her strength lies. Her energy says, "I am with you because I choose to be here, not because I am empty without you." One theory considered the path to the self to be the path of separation from collective roles. An independent woman no longer plays the role of a good girl, a compliant companion, or an ideal wife. She returns to herself, cutting away everything that is not her essence. And yes, such a woman frightens weak men, because she is not controlled by affection or whim. She doesn't need promises. She needs actions. She doesn't bargain for love. She chooses. And in this lies her daring, beautiful, radiant freedom. To reach this state, find something that ignites you from within. It doesn't matter if it brings money. The main thing is it gives you meaning. Surround yourself with people who don't drain but empower you. Learn to be alone, not from loneliness, but from conscious presence with yourself. Independence is when you don't wait for someone to save you. You have already saved yourself. When morning begins not with waiting for someone's message, but with the thought of what you will do today to be closer to yourself. And then the man beside you isn't an anchor. He's a companion. Not a need, but a gift. Not a center, but an ally. A woman living a full life shines. She truly shines. She is like a star. She doesn't need an audience to light up. But it is this light that attracts those who are ready to walk beside her, not to extinguish her, but to burn together. One theory wrote that only one who has become himself can truly be with someone else. Independence is not loneliness. It is the space in which true union without merging is possible. You are not a half. You are whole. And it is felt in everything. In your walk, in your choice of words, in how you hold a cup, how you say no, how you look in the mirror. Now the last, the subtlest, and most often underestimated habit. The one that defines the depth of your aura. It is maturity. Emotional, silent, unbreakable. Habit 7. Emotional maturity. Your unwavering aura. There is something stronger than beauty, loud words, and even charisma. It is the calmness felt around a woman. It is her ability to be an anchor, not a storm. It is that state where she doesn't battle with life but looks it in the eye with acceptance, wisdom, and inner light. One perspective wrote, "Man does not become mature by avoiding conflict, but by passing through it and understanding its meaning." An emotionally mature woman is not one who hasn't known pain. It is one who has processed that pain, accepted it, and allowed it to transform into strength. She doesn't manipulate with tears. She doesn't demand immediate answers. She doesn't get offended over trifles. There is no drama in her. There is depth. She doesn't wound and doesn't easily allow herself to be wounded. Her presence is like a bowl of water, clear, calm, and at the same time capable of reflecting any sky. A man feels this. He understands that before him is not a girl with inner chaos, but a woman with inner clarity. She won't throw tantrums because she isn't afraid to be herself. She won't chase him because she isn't afraid to be alone. She won't play the victim because her adult self is more important than her ego. One theory asserted that the path to true love begins with individuation, with separating oneself from fears, projections, and expectations. Emotional maturity is the result of this path, and it begins with a silent decision. I no longer live on autopilot. How to recognize such a woman? She reacts with a pause, not an impulse. She listens not to reply, but to understand. She doesn't try to convince. She allows the other person to be themselves. And most importantly, she carefully guards her energy and doesn't give it away to those who are not ready to value it. Emotional maturity is the ability not to retaliate, even when wounded. It is the capacity to leave a conflict with dignity. It is the skill of being strong, not by suppressing feelings, but by being conscious of them. Practice this state. Take a deep breath before replying. Listen to yourself before agreeing. Be alone with yourself before sharing with others. Your strength is not in reaction. It is in the conscious choice of when to speak, when to be silent, when to leave, and when to stay. And it is this maturity that makes you extraordinarily attractive, because you become the woman next to whom the world finds rhythm. She is not a hurricane. She is the sea, quiet, deep, and incredibly attractive. A man in her space feels that next to her, he too can be authentic, without masks, without panic, without pretense. An emotionally mature woman doesn't need loud declarations. She feels the truth intuitively. She doesn't cling to the past. She lives in the present. And this is what makes her truly unforgettable. Attractiveness is not a game, not a trick, not a mask you can put on before a date. It is the natural consequence of inner work on yourself. It is a reflection of who you became when you stopped being convenient, when you no longer begged for love, but began to be loved. One school of thought considered the greatest task of a human being to become themselves. And this is what makes a woman truly desired. Her courage to be herself. Not a copy, not a role, but herself, in her voice, in her walk, in her gaze, in her silence. The 7 habits you have read are not just behavioral tips. They are a vector of returning to the self. Each of them cuts away the old, dependence on others' opinions, the need for validation, the urge to conform, and simultaneously awakens the new confidence.